Welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it's my pleasure every week to get to sit down and visit with some of our alumni. I talk to those who got their degrees in communication studies, others who majored in digital media production, and some who got their master's degrees. Today, say hello to Dakota Evans. Dakota got his degree in communication studies, and I used to tell people that you can do anything with a communication degree except for be a brain surgeon or a pilot. And then I met Dakota, and he got his degree in communication studies, and now he's a pilot. Dakota, great to have you on the show. We've been trying to do this for about a year now. How have you been?
Well, Joe, it's a pleasure being on here, and it's just awesome to have the chance to come and talk to you again and talk to hopefully some others who are in the program. But it's great. It's great to kind of be back in the UCM loop. It's a good, it's an honor to be a part of the whole alumni now of UCM.
Well, we're honored to have you, and we're going to get into this whole pilot thing here in just a minute. But let's start off with a little backstory. Where are you from? What led you to UCM, and why communication studies?
Well, right on. Well, I originally am from Kansas City, Missouri, so not too far from Warrensburg. What led me to go to UCM was originally I was super interested in the aviation program at UCM, which after coming to the campus, I elected not to do, as crazy as that all additionally sounds. But I really liked what UCM had to offer. I really liked the campus. I liked that I was still close enough to my family in Kansas City. And I really liked a lot of the staff and faculty that I met. And just the overall welcomeness that I kind of received from UCM, even taking the first initial tours of the campus.
So what made you want to study communication studies? You said you started out, or you originally thought you were going to do the aviation program, which it's one of the best in the nation. But you chose to go the communication studies route, which I like to say is one of the best in the nation too. So
It is.
What led you that way?
Well, I started looking at like different majors to do. For me, it was a financial decision on I couldn't do the aviation program. And to be honest, I think it worked out in a really good way for myself personally. And we'll get into that later. But what communications and what I looked at that is communications was a way that opened the door for just about any job that I could ever potentially get after college, because it's a skill. Communications, right, is a skill that no matter what you're doing is going to be important. And to me, that was going to gear me towards a more positive and a more brighter potential future. Because no matter what, I would have to use a degree in some sort of capacity.
So what all were you involved in to practice those communication skills while you were in college? I mean, did you take flying lessons? Were you a flight instructor or anything like that? Or did you save the flying until after you got finished?
So during school, I was taking courses at UCM, obviously with a communication studies degree, and I would complete my coursework during the day, and then after school was either over for the day or for the week, I would head back to Kansas City where I would also do my flight training. So I was kind of doing college and flying at the same exact time, just not through UCM on the flying side.
Okay, so now that led you to where you are today. And again, you made a liar out of me. You can do anything with a com studies degree, but be a pilot or a brain surgeon. So we've got our pilot. I haven't found a brain surgeon yet. We have had some students go into the medical profession, but tell us about what you're doing today. You are, as I understand it, you are active duty with the U.S. Air Force. Thank you for that.
Thank
You are
you.
a commercial pilot and you're a flight instructor. Is that right?
That is all correct. So yeah, it's a juggling act for sure. And I think this is where the communications piece like starts really opening the door and what has allowed me to do everything that I do. So just like you said, I'm an active duty Air Force officer with the United States Air Force. I am a flight instructor and a Gulfstream G200 SIC. So second in command on that aircraft. And I fly for a small company for medical stuff with that company. And as you can imagine, 3 different jobs and 3 different juggling acts. Without communication, that does not happen, and it doesn't even come close to happening, right? Because with flight instructing, it's communicating with students. It's organizing lessons for them. It's organizing my schedule with the company that I fly the Gulfstream for, with when I'm available and what I can and can't do to support my military schedule, because obviously that's the first priority of active duty, and balancing all of those out and communicating with each individual entity is so crucial to the operation for each individual job.
So you're active duty with the Air Force. Where are you stationed?
I'm currently stationed in Las Vegas, and I've been out here for about coming up on 4 years now.
Are you a pilot in the Air Force, or what do you do there?
Yes, I do fly for the Air Force, and that's its own thing. I really can't say much about that. However, I can talk
Understood.
about.
Understood.
But the good news is I can talk about the civilian side of aviation in more detail. But even in the military, communication, whether it's just my day-to-day job, is super crucial to make sure projects or the mission or whatnot get done
Oh, sure. Yeah.
effectively and efficiently, right? And again, balancing that schedule with everyone else is, with active duty obviously being the number one priority. Balancing the other schedules takes a lot of making sure the right people are talking.
Got it. Yeah, I would imagine with particularly with the military, making sure those communication lines are open and clear, kind of critical there. So did you do the Air Force after you graduated? Did you go into the Air Force training after you graduated with your master or with your bachelor's degree?
Yes, that's correct. So I was during at the same time I was doing communication studies, and I was doing the flying on the side, getting all my certificates and ratings and stuff. I was also doing Air Force ROTC through UCM. So then, every week I would drive over to over to Columbia with Mizzou, so I could satisfy that requirement with the ROTC, and then come back to UCM and continue taking classes.
What inspired you to fly?
Ever since I was a man, ever since I had my first memory, it was my dad. He worked for TWA and worked for American Airlines when TWA folded. And I remember going around the hangars and sitting in jet engines and being around other aircraft. And like I said, the only memory I've ever had of a job I wanted to do was to be a pilot. And that dream has come true, and in full fruition now. And it's been pretty cool to see how that dream has developed over time and where it's gone.
Did you know when you started majoring in communication studies that was going to, if you weren't going to major in aviation, if you were going to get a bachelor's degree and you wanted to be a pilot, did you know right away that communication studies was going to be the route you wanted to go? Or did you just kind of started in communication studies because I'm not sure what else I'm going to do? I know communications would be good, but it just kind of ended up realizing, man, this is perfect for what I want to do.
And that's kind of where it more so came into place, because what happened for me was, I after the door closed with the UCM aviation side of the house, I looked at all the different programs that UCM had to offer. And UCM is a phenomenal school, phenomenal university, and I don't think there's a bad program that exists. But for me, when I looked at it, I was like, well, do I want to do something business oriented? Well, probably not. Do I want to do something math related? And for me, definitely not. As crazy as that sounds from a pilot, right? But I knew, and coming out of high school, surprisingly enough, is I was not much of a talker. I wasn't much of I wasn't really good with social interaction, and just communicating with others. I was kind of in my own little shell. And when I got to UCM, that totally changed. And I think a lot of that has to do with communication, the communication degree and the program with communication studies, because that is what has opened the door for me to communicate with others and talk and be comfortable with talking, and going back and forth with people. So I think when I saw communication studies, I knew that needed to be the right avenue for me if I ever wanted to have a chance at becoming a pilot or an aviator, because pilots and aviators have to communicate a lot. And I knew that was going to be the only, if I could nail the flying part, I needed the communications part to take me the extra step to make the role complete.
If you had to think back on your academic career, what classes really stand out that have benefited you as an officer, as an instructor, and as a pilot?
Well, forgot what the class was exactly called. It was with Pam when she was still Glassnap, when she was still a part of the program. And it had to do a lot except for the exact title of the course, but it had to do a lot with like public speaking and presenting and basically just getting comfortable sharing information in front of a large group of people. And so, yeah, I know we've talked a little bit more about the civilian flying, but relating this to the military, I can't tell you how many briefs I have to give in a current week, whether it's to, very high level individuals or whether it's just to people that are in my squadron. Each brief that you have to give with confidence. You have to give with the right delivery that people that are listening to your brief or listen to your presentation, right? It's the same word. They can grab everything that you're communicating to them and they can actually internalize that and understand what you're trying to communicate with them. And I think that happens, like for me, that happens every day.
She might have, I know she was our, when Pam was with us, she retired several years ago. She was our basic course coordinator, so she oversaw public speaking. I think she might have taught the teamwork and the group dynamics course. And
I think that's what it was.
yeah, that'd
And
be one where you'd have to do a lot of presentations with groups and teams and things like that.
That's exactly right. Then, yep. Thanks. Yeah, obviously, my memory sometimes will fade on that, but that class to me was it was extremely beneficial. And again, working with teams, right? I mean, the military, it's one big team. But also, when you go and do other missions and stuff, you're working with a smaller group of what you would call a team. And yeah, without communication, that team falls apart really quickly.
Yeah, I read a study a couple weeks ago, I think it was, that said that the number one fear that most people have is public speaking. And it's something you're going to have to do no matter what you get into. And so if you're going to have to do a lot of that, then it's a good idea to meet that challenge head on and get some training, get some experience. And that happens a lot in that comm studies program, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you have to just get comfortable. A lot of times too on my civilian flying job, right? The passengers will come on. I may or may not know them. There may be familiar or unfamiliar faces. You have to be able to talk to people who you might not know as if you would have known them a lifetime. Be able to make them feel comfortable that they're getting on your aircraft, and also make them feel comfortable that they're about to have, a relaxing a flight. And you have to be able to kind of before the engines start and we take off. You have to be able to entertain. The people on board so they feel welcome and excited to be there. And so everything, right, if you look at all that, it all stems back to how effective a communicator are you, and that affects how good your job that you could potentially be and how effective you might be as well.
Well, you may not have felt comfortable with it when you got here, but you certainly developed that skill and you present well and you seem very confident in it today. So great
Absolutely.
job. Great training.
Well, yeah, like
So
I said, I think a lot of it's to, again, credit to the UCM Communication Studies.
well, I'm glad to hear that. So commercial pilot, instructor, Air Force officer. What's next for Dakota?
Well, what's next for me is we're looking towards my service commitment for the Air Force is it's coming down to it, and I have about a little over 2 years left. And with the amount of experience that I've gained on the commercial aviation side of the house, I think it's best for myself and my family now to venture off and go towards the major airlines.
Okay. All right.
Which
So you may be flying me around someday. I like that.
That's
Now,
right. And again, and just as anything else, the communication will play, I can only assume, a super important role in what that endeavor looks like.
oh yeah, definitely. So our new theme at the university, a new slogan at the university is redefining what's possible. You've taken a communication degree and parlayed that into a successful career in aviation. With that said, what does redefining what's possible mean to you?
Well, I think for me, um, it allow like what I think is now possible, now that I've had the background that I've had with whether it's airline training, whether it's the communication studies or whatnot, is that um, if you're looking for something in life that requires you to do something that may make you uncomfortable or that may put you out of what your normal status quo is, it is possible to do anything you would like to in life. And we've heard that saying a million times, with the caveat that if you want to achieve something that's outside of your comfort zone, you have to be comfortable communicating with others who may think a lot like you or may think differently. than you. And so for me, what that's really done is, again, like I told you earlier in the podcast, that when I graduated high school, I was nowhere near confident. I was nowhere near as open about presenting as I am now. And I didn't think that getting in front of large crowds, or I didn't think that, putting myself in the public eye was really something that I would see myself doing. And so for me, what's been possible and attainable is quite literally, as the pilots would always say, the sky is the limit, right? And I feel like I've been limitless now with being comfortable and confident with communicating with others.
Well, Dakota, I'm so glad that we're able to get you on and to be able to share your insights with everybody, because it is possible to achieve what you didn't think was possible, but you may have to step outside your comfort zone. You may have to push your limits. You've demonstrated that, and you've been a great success, and we're so happy for you. Before I let you get out of here, though, I do have to get a couple of pieces of advice from you. What would you say to a current student in communication studies as they're preparing to go out from the higher education into the real world? And what would you say to a potential student who's looking at UCM to study communication?
Well, for the future students, or sorry, let's go with the current students as of right now. First of all, I tell this to anybody, regardless of where they're at in life, enjoy the step in life that you're at. Enjoy where you are, and enjoy the process. Even if the process seems scary right now, I know, for me, I had it kind of lucky where I knew the Air Force was going to take care of me after school. I know a lot of people that are in college right now, they're worried about getting their first job or their first internship. And I understand the stresses that come along with that. I have a lot of friends specifically that were in that position. But if you choose to not enjoy that part of life and enjoy where you're at, you will always find yourself in this like small, tight stress ball until you make it when you're 30 plus years old. You have to enjoy the small victories, the small internships, the first couple of jobs, and you have to enjoy the process leading up to that. And also, with that being said, enjoy where you're at, but the most important job that you're doing is the one that you're currently doing. So not the job that you're doing in 5 years from now, right? That's not the most important job. It is the job that you are currently doing today, right now. And what I mean by that is, everybody always says, oh, work hard and put all the effort that you can into your college course and stuff like that. But what I really mean by that is, if the most important job right now is, again, like working on this communication studies degree, or it's working on a big project that you have due in one specific class, work really hard on that specific project and put your time into that before you scatter off and worry about other things.
Yeah, that job 5 years down the road is not going to happen if you don't take care of the job today, right?
Exactly. And additionally, if you have three classes and one of them's got a big project, one of them has a medium-sized project, don't try to do 10% of the large project, 10% of the medium project. Take care of your large project. That's your most important job. Knock that out. So that way that stress can be lifted off of you and you can put all your effort and focus into your next job that you're doing, which is your medium-sized project. But if you don't prioritize the job you're currently doing or currently working on, you'll find yourself putting 20% effort into everything, and that job 5 years down the road will notice that's how you work. And they don't, that's not really appetizable for them either.
Nope. All right. And what about that future student?
So for the future students going to UCM, like I said, be ready to enjoy college and put yourself out there. That was my biggest thing when I got into college as well, besides a communications degree, was I put myself out there, right? It seems silly, but like going to like intramural softball and doing like, that's what I did, right? That's the first thing that I did to get out there. Going to eat lunch with people, at the at Todd Dining Hall or Ellis or whatnot, going to like meet other people and prioritizing building relationships, especially coming into UCM. First of all, everybody that I've ever met at UCM is crazy friendly and is really down to just build relationships with others. Mm-hmm. But if you go and seek that out as a future student, and you come into UCM with that open-minded policy of, or the open-minded mindset, if you will, that everybody's new, nobody has cliques or friendships or anything, and you build those connections, you will find that your life improves drastically. And the people at UCM specifically are really open to building those new relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. This is a really friendly place to be, and everybody wants to help you succeed. So come on
Absolutely.
in, be part of the family. We'll help you get there. Dakota, thank you so much for being on with us today. We've been, like I said, we've been trying to get this scheduled for some time now. I'm glad we finally got this in because I have really been interested in your story. So thanks for being there. Thanks for your service to our country. Thanks for being a great representative. We're proud of you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, absolutely. And like I said, Joe, thanks for having me on. And to everybody looking out for this, like I said, I wish you the best of luck, and you will find success. You just have to, go out and look for it a little bit. And then, like I said, focus on the job that you're currently doing.
Right on. There we go. And thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks to Jake Mager for creating our theme music for us. This is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.